Good morning. Brought you to my double secret hiding spot, my fishing spot. I knocked my drink over. It's DC Alverson again, out off the property, out by the lake. I wanted to pick back up. I said I was a writer. I wanted to share with you what I was writing. The bulk of what I've written is a memoir that's based off of a 2-month bicycle journey that I made on May 21st, 2011 to July 21st, 2011, from Ludington, Michigan to Victor, Idaho. 1,700 miles, 2 months later, on a 3x5-foot flat wooden trailer that I built with my two 45-pound dogs strapped to them. I came out of the other end of that changed. 14 years later, here I am still trying to figure out how to tell the story. I'm 95% of the way there with the help of some highly talented editors and proofreaders and friends and family. I'm almost there. That's what got me to go into Southern New Hampshire University's writing program, as I was going to audit a creative writing class to gain a little insight and some tools, and maybe I could finish what I had written, which was based from the journal that I wrote in during the bicycle journey. Well, through that inquiry, I found myself a full-time student in this program, and like I said, in December I'll be graduating. It's amazing what will unfold before you when you just take one step from the spot in which you've been stubbornly stuck in. You never know what'll happen. And a fictional piece that I'm writing about current conditions in the United States of America, but much broader, not just about politics. No, conversation is much deeper and older and ingrained in our psyches than politics. That is an illusion, meant to be an illusion. So this conversation will bust that illusion up, and probably then some. So here we are out by this beautiful lake in New York. Swing back around to the inherited conversation that I talked about yesterday, which was yesterday. You know, we all inherit a conversation from someone when we grow up as children. Until we're about 4 years old, I figure, from my own experience, we have no inherited conversations. We're curious. We're in wonder of the world around us, and the people and the things and the trees and the bugs and the dogs and the little kids that don't look like us, but we don't care. Because we don't see them for anything other than another little kid running around being curious. We're not worried about skin color and religion and politics and whose parents are who and what country they're from and So, we've inherited a conversation, and we find ourselves as an adult. Could be 20 years old, could be 50, like me. I was almost 50 when I had this sit-down moment when I discovered my inherited conversation and wondered what, if any of it, was me. What, if any of it, did I choose? Or was it just decided for me? You know, yeah, we inherited a conversation that may have been beneficial or not been beneficial to the people who gave it to us. But evaluating your inherited conversation at some point in your adult life means that you get to choose what you go forward with, attitudes, hobbies, occupations, expectations, the way we interact with the world around us. You know, if I was told by someone that I should be aware of these people, or I should do this, or I should do that, and I don't know any better, more than likely I'm going to follow those opinions and those urgent urgent warnings from my inheritors of the conversation. But you know, what worked for Grandpa, and what worked for my uncle, and what worked for my mother, and what worked for my teacher, and my football coach, and whoever else, that's fine. That was their choice. That was their path. And what worked for them may not work for me because it's not me, because the time is different. The attitudes and the perceptions of the world have changed. And this is where we find ourselves in this old world, is carrying on with that inherited conversation. I think unobserved. We find ourselves doing and saying things that aren't of us. Because when it comes down to it, we are the authors of our own lives. What we see around us, we're creating, we're generating, we're writing. And if you're not doing any of that, and someone else is the author of your life, well, you may want to stop and consider that maybe your life is yours and not someone else's. And this is where the conversation and the journey begins, evaluating that dynamic. Think about what you are. Everything that you are, what you are, like I said in the previous video, could be 1,000 things and changeable, right? Most of it changeable. But who we are as human, and who we are as that 4-year-old before we inherited a conversation, curious and unafraid, unconcerned about preconceived ideas and preconceived threats to our identity, which we have collapsed to what we are. That's why we get all tore up and bowed up when people say things about what we are and what we believe and what we do. But that's false. That's an illusion. There's nothing to defend. It's indefensible. What's indefensible is when we don't pursue our creation and our gifts because we don't know what to do, or we're afraid to be alone, to journey out by ourselves. Well, I've had more than one experience beyond that bike journey to teach me these lessons, but it doesn't make it any easier. Sometimes when you know what's actually happening in the world, it can be much scarier, but also liberating, because now you know. Because you've seen with your own eyes. You've heard it with your own ears. You have context. You have your own experience in which to make a judgment, to consider. And that's freedom. And you know what? That sort of freedom scares the hell out of most people. And there's no reason for it. But that's the product of an unobserved inherited conversation. Y'all still with me? We're just getting started. I'm gonna go down here and throw my line in the water and see if I can get lucky and catch a bass or a trout. Whether I catch anything or not, how can I be a loser out here? Until next time, my friends. Peace.